Ramana Maharshi's words are deep and direct. My comments are intended to bring his deep words into your experience. Use YouTube's closed captions to read along. I'm reviewing and commenting on the book's Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi, and today I'm using Talk 107, and let me get to it. Later, the yogi asked, how is the spiritual uplift of the people to be affected? What are the instructions to be given to them? The Maharshi replied, it differs according as one is a yani or an ayani. A yani does not find anything different or separate from the self. All are the self. It's wrong to imagine that there is a world, that there is a body in it, and that you dwell in the body. If the truth is known, the universe and what is beyond it will be found to be only the self, the outlook. Why does God permit suffering in the world? The disciple asked. Should not he, with his omnipotence, do away with it at one stroke and ordain the universal realization of God? Maharshi replies, suffering is the way for realization of God. The devotee asks, should not he ordain it differently? To which Maharshi replies, it is the way. The disciple continues to ask questions, and he asks, are yoga, religion, etc., antidotes to suffering? And Maharshi says, they help you to overcome suffering. The devotee asks, why should there be suffering? And the Maharshi responds, who suffers? What is suffering? No answer. And then he was just silent. And finally, the yogi rose up, prayed for Sri Bhagavan's blessing for his own work, and expressed great regret for his hasty return. He looked very sincere and devoted and even emotional. Excuse me, here we are. So the first reading that I gave you was incorrect. And it was really, Ramana was asked, how is the spiritual uplift of the people to be affected? What are the instructions to be given to them? And Maharshi responds, they differ according to the temperament of the individuals. So Maharshi is asked how to spiritually uplift people and what instructions to give them. Spiritual uplift in this context refers to self-realization or liberation. Ramana responded that instructions differ according to the person's temperament and the ripeness of their mind. So there can't be a one-size-fits-all approach. Each person has their own set of assumptions, misidentifications, illusions, and tendencies that obscure the direct knowledge of the self. Each person, then, needs to walk a path that will resolve their particular imagined identity. Each person has a unique temperament, inclination, and level of spiritual ripeness that must be taken into account when approaching spiritual practice and when offering spiritual guidance. Some people are more intellectually inclined and may benefit from philosophical discussions about the nature of reality and the self. This would be to prepare them for an experiential rather than an intellectual approach. The mind can only go so far. Some are full of themselves and full of ego desires. They will benefit from karma yoga, selfless service. Others may be more emotionally driven and need a more devotional practice, such as chanting or prayer, a way to love an external God. Still, others may benefit from physical practices such as yoga or the directed mental attention of meditation. A few are ready to look at consciousness with consciousness. Furthermore, spiritual maturity is also a crucial factor in determining the appropriate path and instruction for someone. If they're just beginning their spiritual journey, they need to lay a foundation and establish some kind of spiritual practice. While those who have been practicing for a long time may benefit from more advanced instructions to deepen their self-knowledge and shift their focus from objective practices to non-objective aspects of the practice. Ramana Maharshi's response emphasizes the importance of individualized guidance in spiritual practice. A true spiritual practice must have the wisdom to recognize the difference among the students and provide them with appropriate instructions and practices to help them progress along their individual path. If you don't have a spiritual teacher, you need to honestly look at yourself and determine what is best for you. Where are you now? You may need to work through this in stages. Most people do. Do what is needed where you are now. Don't try to jump ahead. If you're not ready, then practice will be slow and perhaps progress will not happen at all. So if you're stuck, go back to an earlier stage of practice. From low to high, these stages are karma yoga at the base. This is selfless service, and it's done with the body. Bhakti yoga, devotional practice, surrender. This is done with the heart. Raja yoga, or meditation. This is done with the mind. And then jnana yoga, the practice of self-knowledge beyond the mind, looking into being and non-cognitive direct knowledge. These videos help bring Ramana Maharshi's teachings into your direct experience. Subscribe now to help you deepen your understanding and practice to know the self. Just click the subscribe button.